So without further ado, let's begin our first session. This session has the objective to spread awareness on how women have embraced the world of technology and closing the gender gap. So now I would like to pass this time over to Isha, who is the event director of Diadem, to moderate this session. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. So, hi everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing morning today. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Ishaanaah. You may address me as Isha throughout this session, and I'm the event director of Diadem Taylor's Inclusivity Project. So, in behalf of all the organizing committees, we actually like to cordially welcome you all here. And we'd like to extend our hand in gratitude and thank our esteemed speakers for joining us today to hear their insights, perspectives, and experience. So before we start, I'd like to give a short introduction and description about what this session would be, and also a description of the clubs and societies that helped us to build this session into a successful one. First, we have Agents of Tech. So Agents of Tech is actually an official technology club in Taylor's University and also devoted into gaining and distributing technology-related knowledge to students who are actually interested in this field. Not than that, they also bring valuable knowledge into developing technology skills that are actually vital in the 21st century. Next, we have Diadem Taylor's Inclusivity Project. So Diadem Taylor's Inclusivity Project actually strives to empower underprivileged communities in Malaysia and all over the world. So ultimately, we actually strive to bring a generation that comes hand in hand to fight against inequality globally. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce everyone to Women in Tech Fireside Chat Session 1. So, to bring the objective of this event is to basically bring public awareness on how women can embrace the world of technology while discussing the gender gap that's still presented in the 21st century. With that, we have two distinct speakers that are joining us today to help us address the challenges and their experience on how the gender distribution is in the world of tech, alongside addressing the stigmas that are commonly associated with them. Not further ado, I'd like to address our first speaker, and that is Ms. Chantal. So she's a techpreneur, a leadership coach, a certified behavior consultant, and a working mom. She has been actively involved in people skills, and she aims to drastically increase the productivity and performances of individuals all over the world. Ms. Chantal actually started off as an educator and formerly was a manager in a quality role for Asia-Pacific region. Well, she was also introduced to a business unit in a private and multinational company. And during this engagement session, that was when she demonstrated her talent in leading her team, coordinating and managing change in the organization. Since then, she has actually co-founded Growtribe Solutions, a HR tech solution company, and PeopleHive Consulting Group, a HR and leadership solutions and outsourced strategy HR. So Ms. Chantal, would you like to say a few words to our audiences today?
Hello, everybody. Good morning, and I hope, if anybody who's affected by the flood, I would say do take care, and I hope for you and your family, everyone is actually safe. Yeah, thanks, Isha, and thanks for inviting me here.
Sure, no worries. We are glad to have you here today, Ms. Chantal. And next, we actually have Dr. Go. Well, Dr. Go has been in the academy for the past 20 years. Yes, and she is also a fellow lecturer in Taylor's University. She has been working on learning, teaching and assessment design strategies, online learning technologies, social media technologies, knowledge management, machine learning, digital marketing, and Internet of Things research throughout the past 20 years. Not to say, she has also experience in both qualitative and quantitative methodologies. She emphasized her familiarity with online technologies due to her experience of using them while teaching, as she liked to develop a technology-rich classrooms. So hi, Ms. Go. I would like to introduce you to our technopreneurship today.
Hello, hi, good morning. Yeah, I'm Dr. Go. I'm from School of Computer Science and Engineering, Taylor's University. It's good to be part of the event today, and then thank you for inviting me as well. So yeah, hope that you enjoy the session and learn from all the speakers. I can see that there is a lot of insightful sharing session and also keynote speaker that will be sharing their awesome information with all of you. So let us learn together. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Go. That was amazing. So as Ms. Go mentioned, we are all here to have an amazing conversation. And in order for us to have an amazing conversation, there are a few ground rules that we should obey in order for us to have an ease transition. So number one, in any situation you have a differing opinion about a speaker or someone that's sharing their experience, please avoid making personal attacks, because the point of today's conversation is for all of us to learn and share our experiences and insights in relation to this topic. Number two, you are free to unmute your microphones when you have something to share. However, please do refrain this till the end of the session, as we will have a Q&A session to answer your inquiries and questions in relation to the topic Women in Technology. For those of you who do not want to answer by unmuting, feel free to raise your questions through the Slido link that will be sent by our chat moderators. Lastly, always remember to be mindful of your language while speaking to one another to avoid hurting anyone's feelings. Well, without further ado, let's start Fireside Chat, Women in Tech. So, as an introduction, I would like to say, in the 21st century, there are constant attempts in terms of reducing gender gaps in technology and to attract more women into working in various tech sectors. However, going back into the 1960s, women were actually invited to this area of industry and also to share their experiences and also to work in this field. However, from 1970s and moving forward, we were sidelined because people started to notice how powerful technology and computers have, and they will want to integrate this to a management level. So we have always been introduced to technology as a sideline. We were never given a direct path to work in technology. With that, I would like to ask our both speakers first. Did you always know that working in technology was what you wanted to do since young, or was there any inspiring story behind why you wanted to be here? Maybe we could start with Ms. Chantal.
Okay, thanks for the question, Isha. No, definitely not. My major was a double major in chemistry and biology. So no way, basically, it's tech is inside, right? But in truth was because I was a chemist, okay, and as well as going into quality line. So I deal with a lot of data, a lot of data. And I think that was one of the things that actually kind of helped me a little bit, and going into the AI. And when I moved on, I was the head of the business unit. That's when I need to know digital marketing, right? I can't, and it was new, right? So I can't lead my team if I don't know about it, right? That's when I go into digital marketing, going into the SEO, just learning bits and pieces. I'm sure I'm nowhere as super competent as Dr. Go, right? Those technical stuff, right? But it's enough to get by, especially in the business unit when it was new. And as well, when I come out as an entrepreneur, I've got to learn how to create my own website, right? I've got to be able to do my own SEO, because sometimes it's what you can, nobody else can kind of help you to do that except yourself, because you know the people better, you know your customers better, and that's when you go into this. So I guess that I never thought I would go into tech, but all these different things that is needed to survive in the world now, especially as an entrepreneur, that's how the journey went. Yeah, so I would say tech is a part of what you need to do. Is no longer like sideline. It's your world right now, so you've got to do it. Yeah. So that's a little bit on my side.
Right. It's very interesting, Ms. Chantal, because you addressed it as you were very independent of joining the tech world. As you said that there wasn't anyone that really pushed you to it, but rather you understood that as a society, we would need to integrate technology in any industry we go in. And that's why you have you have integrated technology into your own learning. So that was very inspiring, actually. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Dr. Go, do you have a different story in comparison with Chantal, or do share it?
Okay, actually, my past experience was like 20 years ago, I was like your age, that fresh graduate from the high school, and then I was unknown of my destiny or my future. Then I heard somebody said about computer science. Then at that time, I have no idea what is computer science, but it was like 20 years ago, and computer science is not that famous module or program that people will choose. So I just register and then sign up for the program because at that time, after the graduation from the high school, then we need to fill in some forms to apply for the IPTA to go into the local university. So I just follow my friend, and then they were filling in the computer science. So I just follow and filling in computer science as one of the program that I would like to choose. But actually, I do not have idea what is computer science. Then luckily, I have been accepted to study in UTM, University Technology Malaysia in Johor for the computer science degree. So at that time, I just, I got it already. Then I just take it and then go all the way from Penang to Johor and then study my computer science degree for 4 years. So after the 4 years, actually, I'm not really know that, that is the degree that I've got, that, what I can do with that. But my passion is to be a lecturer. So I just join a small college at that time to be a lecturer to teach computing programs or computing modules. So that is where it started for me to learn or to expose myself to the computing degree and also to the IT, to the tech world. Then after that, I further my master in UTM Jalan Semarak, KL for the computing as well, for the IT management, master in IT management. So after 2 years, then I got my master. Then I think that, this is the journey and this is what I like for the IT management. Then I started to apply for some scholarship to go abroad. Hopefully that I can have some chances to get some scholarship to go abroad to continue my PhD. So I tried to apply a few university, and then I got in as the graduate teaching assistant to pursue my PhD in the UK. So I was in the UK for 5 years. And then after that, I came back to Malaysia, and then I joined Taylor University, and now here I am. So it is like, I don't really know what is technology or what can computer do, and is that what I liked, but that is already like planned for me, that until now, or at least I know what is technology. So I'm sure that all of you here, you are students, and then you might be blur of your future. So that was me 20 years ago, but don't worry. So try to explore it, talk to people, and then to learn more. And then nowadays, you can Google and to know more of the latest immersive technology that you can learn from there, and then to know whether that is what you are interested at. So that is my journey that I would share. Yes.
Dr. Go, I have to say that was extremely inspiring. And you've said how you grew to not know technology at all, but then here you are with 20 years of experience, trying to integrate technology as much as you can, especially in a teaching and learning field. So that's actually a very good point to highlight. But I really wanted to ask, throughout your degree, did you find it challenging in terms of learning IT for those students who are actually newly joining this degree and who may have not had a vast experience in learning IT or knowing codes and etc.? Did you have a challenging time in that process of doing a degree?
I think for the first year, right, for the first and second semester, the curriculum has been arranged that the student will learn the basic of how to do the coding and also do the programming. So from there, they are like the beginner to learn all the new technology, especially coding, or how to develop a website, or how to develop a system or an app. So if you do not have any foundation, I think that if you take the foundation in computing or diploma in IT, that might help you. If you are totally new from other foundation, or like let's say foundation of science, that you have not learned any coding before, it shouldn't be any problem as long as you have the interest and then you would like to spend your time and effort to learn it. So there shouldn't be any problem, because for the first year, first sem, we are learning the basic fundamental of the programming, of developing a website.
I see. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Go. So I would like to bring it back to your current work experiences in your current days. So as you have discovered in Women in Tech especially, it's not always sitting in a four-wall office and typing codes. There are different roles and responsibilities, and there are many organization skills and roles that are used in the world of technology. So I would like to come back to your daily tasks. Can you share a little bit about what you do on your typical day? As a woman who is in the world of technology, what do you do every day? So maybe we could start with Miss Chantal as well.
Okay, my day is not typical. All right, I've got basically every day is actually different. So definitely there's a lot of meetings with clients, with our project teams, with also it's mainly because I'm in charge of commercial in Growtribe Solutions. So it's a lot of it is of course finding sales, finding customers, right? Getting feedbacks, even setting up all the details, running through with the customers, our clients, how we're going to use this back in their organization. And if there's things that is needed, I got to go back to the project team. I need to go to the, our coding guys and say, hey, it's stuff I need to do. Need to try to slot it in because their projects are pretty much quite packed. So there's a lot of things. And in terms of that, I also do coach. I'm a leadership coach as well. So I do coaching for leaders. I conduct trainings, I conduct consulting for HR, got a leadership development as well that I do. So every day is actually very different. And on top of that, it doesn't help with a lot of like government stuff right now is we need to pass up the tax and stuff like that. So there's all the admin things that comes up, things with the government. There's a lot of schemes that's coming up for all the companies as well. They want to use tech. So there's a lot of schemes that we need to know about, talk to the government, getting the whether we get passed off on the schemes so that our clients get free, or they be able to get pay at half price, for example, for any digitalization grants. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that is going on. So I wouldn't have a typical day. Every day is basically different. But only thing that is same is probably my daughter, right? Going back and being that's the second shift that starts, whereby being the mother, right? So that is definitely always there, but the work day it's totally different. It's really very different every day. Yeah.
Well, it does seem a lot, Ms. Chantal, not gonna lie. It does seem like a day where it evolves every single day and there's something new coming up. It could be quite tiring, but I really love how you've said that your daughter and spending time and being there, it's the same. And that's something that we all should also keep in mind. So thank you so much. So I'd like to pass it to Dr. Gur as well. As a lecturer working in tech and also using tech in your learning, what's your typical day of work look like?
Okay, so being a lecturer, right, as all of you might think that, my job is just lecturing, but actually it is not. So I'm a program director as well. So as a program director, I will have to manage the lecturer and also manage student affairs, or to plan for the curriculum, or to submit some documents for the MQA. So this is as the role as a program director. And as a lecturer, I will have to prepare the material, the teaching materials, and then attend the class, to go to the class, to impart or share my knowledge to the student. And after that, after the class, then I will have to give consultation to the student, prepare some tutorial question, and then let them to answer, and then I will have to do some marking as well. So this is as a role as a lecturer. But besides being a lecturer, right, we as a lecturer in the university, we also have to do research. So I will have to conduct research together with my team. Like for example, I have a few of my postgraduate students where we will do the research together. So this is another thing that I would be doing with my postgraduate student, to conduct the research. And then other than that, I'm also an entrepreneur to advise on people to how to do the digitalizations and to share how they can convert their current offline business to the online business, because this is one of the passion that I'm interested in. So these are kind of my daily tasks that I will be doing all days. Yes. Then of course I'm also a working mom that now I'm working from home. Then I will also have to prepare the meals and also to take care of the kids. So yeah, like Miss Chantal said that, oh, it is not really easy to be a working mom as well, but it is interesting. Life, this is life, and then I really enjoy my life and my job. Yes.
Right. So actually, the one thing I want to point out that both Dr. Go and Ms. Chantal have addressed is that you have said that how you have a lot of roles and you have been constantly trying your best to adapt to everything that's going on, and you're enjoying every single moment of it. But being a woman in tech, I really have to ask, what is the biggest reward you've got from choosing this career? For instance, Dr. Go, you have said you've learned IT and you also have a passion for lecturing all this time. And now you have combined both of them together. And yes, you've said there's a lot in terms of research and everything you've got to do. But what is the best reward you've had being a woman in tech? So I hope we could hear from you first.
I think the most important is the passion. We need to have the passion on what we are doing. First of all, you need to love what you are doing, and then you will be focused and concentrate on what you are doing. So this is the first thing that we need to have. We need to find what is your interest, what is the passion that you have. Like for example, I have a lot of students graduating every semester and every year. So when you see your student, they have graduated and then they are working in the big technology company and becoming a very successful entrepreneur, you feel so proud of them. Like for example, 2 or 3 years ago, I taught the technopreneurship modules. And then now one of my students, he has become a technopreneur. He is working on his own startup. So you are like, what you have shared with them, and then you have seen the result of it. Like one of the example that I can give is my student Julius. I think some of you might know him. He is currently working on the startup company, and then he came out with the idea of the Aribo, the AI startup which builds the license plate recognition with less than 1% of the error and 50% cheaper than their competitors. So this Aribo is aimed to transform the car park industry using the artificial intelligence. So when you see your student, they are successful in their life, so you feel proud of it. This is the best reward that I can have. And then other than that, I also guide and facilitate students to lead them to win some competition. Like recently, two groups of my students, they have won the MTE competition. And then one group of my postgraduate students, they have won the ITEX competition. So I can see that there is the achievement and success, not only by my student, but working together with me. So this is kind of the reward that I can see that I have achieved so far, especially for year 2021.
I see. Actually, Ms. Chantal, when you said about your student, I think I've heard about him before as well. But yes, thank you so much for sharing. Well, Ms. Chantal, I'm going to be passing the floor to you as well. What has been rewarding for you being a woman in technology, even though you're juggling all these roles? What has been a reward for you?
Okay, I think it's kind of the same. I would say that from Dr. Go. So it's really about passion, about what you want. Of course, when I started off, it's really about career, right? It's about getting successful in a career and stuff like that. But I mean, and of course, at the beginning, when I started off in my journey, after graduating, that was quite some time ago, I was also lost, right? But when I found out that my passion was actually a lot of helping people, I love to help people. And when I'm doing the tech right now, right, or when I give, as for example, my clients, okay, or my participants are struggling in their work. For example, they say that, you know, I don't know how I can be able to do something. For example, even in HR, right? A lot of employees out there in the world, in the corporate world, they'll say that, you know, I'm just doing my daily job every day, but I don't know when I'll be promoted or what is needed for me to close the gap to the next level, or what do I need to learn? And a lot of sometimes the managers out there, they're too busy doing their own things and they're not able to help the employees. And, you know, imagine you're a fresh grad, you come out to work, you're expecting people to know to give you all the thing fancy stuff, but you're like, how come I'm only doing this small admin type of work, you know? And the truth is that's how the world is outside there. You know, you don't go out and think that there's a lot of fancy stuff. That is not. Unless you become an entrepreneur yourself, right? Then you figure out, oh, it's actually not so easy lah, right? But that's the thing that we noticed, that was a gap in what people was facing. And as well, a lot of things, for example, that graduates that come out, your expectations versus the employer's expectations of you, right, is actually different. Yeah, what they want from you might not be what you have learned in your university, for example, or the things that they're looking for might be different. So there's also a gap. So that's why we came up with Growtribe solutions in order to help people to know what is their gap, what's the expectations from the outside, what's the expectations from the corporate that needs from you. Even when you are in the company, you're in a big company, sometimes you don't know what is next. And believe me, our clients are also quite huge clients, and you'll be thinking that, hey, I thought you're so big, you all should know all this. Actually, they don't have all these things. So for me, actually coming out as a passion to know that we help people. And to be honest, we spend more than 8 hours a day at work. Yeah, sometimes 12 hours or 16 hours, all right? For anybody who's doing coding and all, it may run to 16 hours in the corporate, right? All right, or into any software companies and all. Like one of our, we can say that is our business partner who also owns Growtribe Solutions. So their sister company, Lizard Global. So they're a global tech company. They do all the app and software. Hey, those guys are up 16 hours a day, right? And the thing is, you spend a lot of time at work rather than being at home and being with your friends. And you would want these people to be the best they can and feel happy, because I think you'll probably cover this as mental health. There's a lot of things that when you're at work and you're not happy, that will become mental health and stress and stuff like that. So for me, actually, I gained passion really a lot in making sure and having people like, it's like, hey, Chantal, you really helped me a lot. I know where I am. I feel much better. I feel more empowered. And then they say that, I'm going through all this tech, and it makes me kind of like know my direction, and it makes me feel happy at work. Yeah, so that's my passion when I have clients or participants that come to me and say that, you helped me in my life. You made my life better. So I think that was what that actually drives me in my passion, that would be able to sometimes put my daughter and lock her in a room and get to do other work. So in some sort, yes, so that drives my passion. Yes.
All right. So actually, Dr. Go and Ms. Chantal, both of you have addressed how in both, it doesn't matter in which side of a technology industry that you're working on, but it's driven by passion, and it's driven by how compassionate and also like how given you are. As both of you always strive to give through learning or through helping individuals to strive for the best. So it's always about the passion and how you could integrate your knowledge and technology into giving back to the people. However, in addressing the topic of women in technology, it's going to be a lie if I were to say discrimination doesn't exist. So first, for Dr. Go, in your past 20 years of being in this field, and also before when you were learning IT and etc., would you say that you have faced gender-based discrimination at work, or have you faced it in the past? And if so, what actually helped you move forward in this?
I think that gender-based discrimination at work is not so obvious in Malaysia or in the working environment that I'm working at. So I also can say that I feel so lucky to have a good superior who will support, encourage, and motivate me or all our colleagues and lecturers to move on and choose the correct path of life. So he will support us whenever we say that, oh, we would like to excel ourselves and then to join some training, to attend some training, or even to join some competition. He will surely to support us mentally or even financially. So I feel so lucky that I do not face any discrimination on this matter.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Go. What about Ms. Chantal? What about you?
Yeah, there are stories definitely
Okay.
on discrimination in the corporate world. Definitely is. I've got a few of myself as well. There's some that uses their physical strength to intimidate you to have a decision made. So I remember had one, this is a very much senior manager as well. He wanted something done his way, right? So he will come up to me and he will use his because it's much bigger and in size and all, and he come and he scold me all the demeaning words for a woman, yeah. And he tell me that, yeah, you gotta do it this way or no way. I say, no, if you come 1 inch more, I'm gonna sue you for harassment. Yeah, right. So I told him, at that point, I'm in an organization, there was CCTVs around. I said, I'll look back at the one and I will submit to HR. as a whistleblower, so come one step further. And he didn't. Yeah, after that, he did apologize and stuff like that. So there are examples of these type of cases. There are some which is unconscious biasness, right? I remembered I had someone who was they were actually British, right? They were British, and then when they came, so in the leadership team there were a few guys, and I was one of the few women, right? Actually, only woman actually, and the rest are all men. And in truth, I remember when he came, he shook hands with everybody because it was a leadership team. But he saw me, he's like, oh, he didn't shake my hand. He's like, could you give me a cup of coffee? I was like, what? So luckily my my superiors, I mean, my MD actually came in and he said, no, this is Chantal. She's actually the head of the business unit, right? If you like coffee, we'll get one of our secretaries to get it for you. Yeah, so these are some of the unconscious biases, not only Malaysia, actually. This is, I mean, I would have thought that people in Britain, right, would be more, I mean, not discriminative in some sense. It's very microaggressions that you will find, but they are, and soft, for example, or it comes on especially when you are pregnant, right? When you're pregnant and going for maternity, also even out there are a lot of people, not even in tech, I'm saying it's general, right? That people will say that there are some clients that I have, they don't get bonus because they give birth. They went on maternity leave. So you can't perform for 2-3 months, so you don't have your bonus. The increments are cut as well. And this actually happens in big Fortune, okay, say this is like Fortune 100 companies. Yeah, there are some who actually does happen, right? So I'm saying that rather than to look into things that are, some of it is already social biasness. There are some people who, for me, my team, we don't, and some of my superiors, I'm quite lucky they don't, right? But even for myself, I remembered that I was offered a job as the plant manager, and my boss said, no, you can't go there because it's very much male dominated. So you can't go to these things, right? So sometimes there's society biasness that are for that, and especially I noticed that it wasn't so apparent when you are you're not married or you don't have a kid. But once I noticed that you have a kid and you can't be able to put 100% at your work, there are some employees or organizations which will look at you have that with different biasness. It's a very much unconscious biasness, right? And sometimes it's true because we don't have enough time to be able to concentrate on fully like 16 hours a day at work, right? We probably can be able to have 12 hours or 10 hours, but not 16 hours anymore. Yeah, those sort of things. So in tech as well, I don't really find, as much as you notice, there's not many women in tech. There are, all right, there are some, that's like Dr. Go, but in the corporate wise or in all, they are mainly, if I can see, in truth, there will be more digital marketing, there'll be a lot more in UI UX, for example, a lot more in projects. If you talk about coding and programming, I don't see that many in coding or programming for the women, and mainly that area would be a lot more men. Although I would say some organizations are really good, there's no discrimination at all, but I would say for women here, if you go in, right, don't get upset over it. It happens, and it's a society bias, so just get on with it. Prove to them that you are much better than anyone else, basically, and you are yourself. So just forget it and just move on. Don't go back and harp on it like, oh, because I'm a woman, you're treating me this way. Oh, that's, yeah, it doesn't give you, it doesn't benefit you. Just let it go, move on. Yeah.
Right. Actually, Ms. Chantal, I do want to extend the discussion we have raised just now. So you have said how some people are dominant. It could be consciously or unconsciously. And it's not a lie that in the tech world right now, there's a significant difference between the male and female ratio that are working in STEM and they are in this industry. However, when it comes, for example, we are getting a new project to handle, or we are being at a place where it's male dominated. Are women like commonly given like substantial roles? Or like are they like given like the smaller roles? Or like is that like visible in terms of the tech world? Or what is your input about it?
Okay, so first to begin with, as you notice, there's not many women to begin with, right? Yeah. So with that small, small kind of percentage, right? It's sometimes a bit hard as well. But I would say in truth, when you come out to the corporate world, right? those which are much more progressive, a majority of them in the tech world, it really is whether you're competent or not. Are you good in your job? Are you able to see big picture? Are you being more strategic? Are you able to think more, like more commercially, more for the clients and customers, for example? Are you able to be agile enough? Your thinking, your logical thinking, proactiveness, that is a lot more important rather than whether it's a woman or man. So I would say that for any woman, if you display all of this, basically, then they become. So I've seen a lot of project managers as well, even in our Growtribe as well. We have 2 ladies. The other project managers will say, because they're good in what they do, not because they're women, because they're good in what they do. And coincidentally, they're better than most of the other men. So it's not about the woman or man, basically, because Growtribe is actually 50% Dutch. So the Dutch are a lot more, they are gender blind, I would say. Yeah. So they really don't see all this. That's why you find that you don't matter whether it's a guy or a girl or whatever it is, but it's basically not really equal rights, but yeah, kind of that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Go, do you have anything that you'd like to add for the question in regards to?
No, I think that in education sector, right, everything is more pure, that might not be having this kind of politics or corporate things or discrimination in as compared to the corporate world. So for us, right, we have a lot of superiors that they will support the female to excel and then to excellent themselves in job. So that might be the difference between education sector and also the corporate sector.
Right. Like, I do agree with you, Dr. Go, especially when I've had the experience of talking to a few individuals who are lecturing in technology, and they've also mentioned about how they try their best to promote female and women especially to join in and to learn and take up the course, and they kind of like advise them like, do not demotivate yourself and excel and do your best. And in terms of what Ms. Chantal has mentioned, like if you have key elements and these requirements and you can excel in the given position and work and be loyal to your own position and work, then you can excel. However, I really want to ask Ms. Chantal this question. So Ms. Chantal, you have said, for instance, the given scenario there's mentioned earlier, you have mentioned about how this guy was coming up to you and he was trying to like instructing you to, hi, okay, we are doing it this way. However, you took a step forward and you said you're not. But there are a number of female and women currently in the tech industry that are actually facing imposter syndrome, in which means that they're not confident enough, they're very scared and they're very fearful. And if any male is coming ahead and they're telling them, hey, don't do this, they get very frightened and they feel very isolated in their own world. So how will you suggest for them to tackle this issue?
Sorry, the question is to me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So in truth, imposter syndrome, in my experience, is not only for women. There is also in men. Yeah. So in my experience-wise, I wouldn't say that it's just women. I would say there's also imposter syndrome in men. So imposter syndrome, I think that, I'm not sure whether some of the participants would know what imposter syndrome is, but imposter syndrome is whether that every success that they actually feel, that they feel that they are not worth the success, right? They feel that, oh, okay, I'm not worth it. I feel like I'm a fraud. People will find out about me. I'm actually not good in this, right? To be honest, the people that I actually, or even a woman in tech that I have come across, don't really have no imposter syndrome, right? There are a few moments sometimes we can ask ourselves, do we really deserve this? What? And it's actually more of self-reflection. So it isn't an imposter syndrome as in a psychological, like there are someone I do have, is a guy actually. He used to report, he did report to me one time. And he has this imposter syndrome, like, it's not me, it's everybody else, but he's a male, he's not a female, right? So yeah, I would say that for every one of us, we would definitely ask ourselves, like, what did I do to deserve this? Suddenly I got, like all these good promotions and all, did I deserve this? And I think that's the right question to ask, because you're self-reflecting what made you good, what made you succeed. I think the important part is that from then on, how do you move onwards? That do you feel that, okay, because there's two things. You can't be overconfident, yet you can't be underconfident. So it's a really fine balance of knowing that, okay, these are the people that definitely help me towards my way, but it's also due to my own competency, my own values, the way I am, or who I am, that made me achieve it in this way. Yeah. So usually, like for me, yes, there are times I will ask myself, hey, betul ke? That I betul ke? Oh, wow, suddenly, because I was promoted at the age of 23 to a manager. I handled 60 people when I was 23 years old. Yeah. At the time, I was like, betul ke ni? Right? But I noticed, like, for me as well, is for everybody else, I guess, sometimes if you feel that you question yourself, like, is this right, or is this correct? Am I a fraud? Or maybe it's by luck or something like that. Always have a very good friend who are very honest. So I've got my childhood friend. I've been best friends with her since we were 8 years old, right? And we both will tell each other off like, hey, you freaking stupid, you deserve this, right? You deserve this. Don't think about anything else, So sometimes you just need to have that really, really strong friend, and that you can trust this person to tell you, slap you a bit and say that, hey, excuse me, are you listening to yourself? So to me, I guess that if you have really strong family or your friend, even for me and for my cousins, right, to kind of like balance you out, because the self-doubt is always there for everyone, not even imposter syndrome, right? But it's everybody. But for you to kind of like mitigate that before it comes imposter syndrome, that's very important. Yeah, so I would always say to everybody all out here, it's normal to have self-doubt. If you don't have self-doubt, means there's something wrong with you. Okay. Just that you have that someone for you to, because if those of you who choose to go out in the corporate world, right, it's gonna be a crazy ride, all right? But it's gonna be very fun as well, and it's so rewarding in each own different ways. But you need to have a very strong your friends. And so I would say that sometimes you can't find very good or real friends at workplace, right? So don't think you go into an organization in corporate and you can find your best friend there. Sorry lah, huh? It's a bit more difficult. Okay, but I would say outside of your in corporate world, okay, I would say that you have a good friend that would be able to tell you the truth, or kind of slap you a bit, okay, when you have those. So that would be my advice for all of you here.
Well, Ms. Chantal, I could say the part where the friend slaps you and tells you that you're doing good, it does happen a lot in universities, and I'm pretty sure everyone here could relate as well. Yes. But I would like to ask Dr. Go as well, did you have any experience in the process of you studying IT, because you said it was new to you, where you have felt like any achievement you have gained, it's not worth it, or, oh my God, like I got it by luck. I do not deserve this, or any promotion, or in the process of you studying a master's and etc. Was there any moment in that time where you felt like an imposter, or you felt like you didn't deserve any achievement?
No. I think that anything that I have achieved now, right, I have already put in a lot of my effort. Like for example, even if I have taken some of the exam, like for example, certifications in business analytics, I know that I have tried my best, but I still, if let's say I still do not pass the exam, but during the whole process, I have learned it. So that is what I have achieved for myself. So I think that certification is not really that important. Of course, if I can get the certification, that would be the advantage for me. But if not, throughout the learning process, I enjoy it and I have learned the knowledge from there, then that is very good already. So that is for me personally. But as the imposter experience, I don't think that I have experienced this kind of things before. So perhaps I can say that I'm very lucky that I do not face this for myself. But some of the students, I think that when I see that when they are doing some group assignments, right, I'm sure that all of you are students, then you might have some experience on that you might be working in a group that a few of your students, they are working together. but there might be some argument, and then, or there might be some male and female in the group, and then there might be some disagreement in the group, and then there might be a fight, and then the student might think that, hey, why this lecturer give me such a marks where I have really put in a lot of my effort. But you also need to see that, or whether you deserve the mark or not, because sometimes the way of the marking or the assessment from the point of view of the lecturers and from the point of view of the student is different. But no matter how, result is just an outcome. The grade is just an outcome or a result. You have to know that during the whole process, have you learned anything? That is the most important thing.
Right. That's actually spot on, Dr. Go. And I could really relate to the part where you've mentioned that, do I deserve it? As a student, right? When you're coming, not only in tech, in different areas or fields that you're questioning, do I really deserve this mark? And oftentimes you feel like this form of, not to say like you do not deserve it. It seems like you feel that you got it by luck in any chance of way. So it's very important for everyone here in our audiences to understand that you have put in the work and you have given yourself the chance. So any success that you've given in the industry or when you're studying and wherever you're working in the future, you 100% deserve it. Well, now I'm actually going to be asking a question that is commonly asked by most, especially female, that are going into the world of tech and this industry, the STEM industry. Do we need to act like men to be successful in the world of tech? Do we have to be like them so that we'll be taken seriously or we will be acknowledged? So I would like to pass this to Dr. Go first. In your experience of being able to see the tech industry and etc., are we often told to be like men in order to succeed? What is your take?
I do not think that women need to act like a man to be a successful entrepreneurs or to be successful in their career. They just need to become themselves. Being ourselves is very important. As a woman, we need to remember that being ourselves, then we know ourselves better. You will be able to perform better and able to acknowledge things that you do not know well enough, and then you will try to excel and try to learn from that. You won't be able to feel proud to ask any question because you and hopefully everyone will be working with you and to know how genuine you are. People will respect you, respect our ability and happy to work with us comfortably. So the most important thing is we need to know ourselves, and then the self-confidence is very important. To become success has to do with the individual rather than their genders. Being a woman or a man does not mean that you are automatically going to be a successful. You need to put in a lot of hard work to achieve your goal, no matter whether it's a male or female. So this means not only you ensure that you have the right technical knowledge that you have, but also the right attitude that you have to drive to the success. So that is the most important thing, that being ourselves rather than to act like a man. So that is my point of view.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Dov. Ms. Chantal, do you have anything else to add on to Dr. Go's
Yeah,
point?
sorry, just to add on to that, I mean, totally agree basically that you gotta be yourself, gotta be more aware of yourself and be confident in yourself, right? There's one thing although that we need to, I would say that this would be very useful, is emotions. Yeah, a woman tend to be more emotional, but at the workplace or when you go to work or even entrepreneur or wherever you want to be, you need to make sure that you're not emotional. You don't show the emotions in front of others, or when you're upset and you start crying in front of others. That will just make people think that you are weak in some ways. Yeah. So I would say, because women tend to be more emotional in some sense, right? To manage their emotions. Although there are some men who are actually very emotional, especially in a tech, and somehow it may tend to have the UI UX, the men in UI UX tend to be a little bit more emotional than most of the other men, all right? But I would say that that advice would be on top of whatever Dr. Go has actually mentioned, right? Is just take note of your emotions and not to show that much of emotions like crying and you're fine to be angry, right? but don't be emotional. Make sure that whatever that comes out from you is always very objective, right? So that's basically my advice.
Well, thank you so much for your input. Actually, this is a different take on the question that I've seen a lot, especially when I have spoken to a few students that are in IT. They've often felt like they had to put on a mask and fake and always constantly be, oh my God, okay, I am dominant. And rather than actually embracing their own skill sets and embracing who they are as an individual and trying to show what kind of creative sets or skills they have, they try their best to be very isolated and very introverted because they think that they won't be picked on. They think that they wouldn't be called off, or they will just follow instructions. But what both Dr. Go and Ms. Chantal have mentioned today is very vital, especially emotions and how we should always try our best to not compromise who we are and to always play an act. We should never play an act. We should always never compromise who we are. And we should always be who we want to be. So that's actually a very beautiful take on the question. So I would really
just like you said about behaviors, just to share for some of you here as well, because I'm a certified behavioral consultant as well. So for those of you here who want to know, there are some people who say dominant, there are some people who are more happier to be within their, without people doing things on their own. So there's something that's called DISC. There's like a free tools there. You can go up and do, you can just do it free, all right? Basically, it tells us the different types of behaviors that you are. So it's a tool for you to understand yourself better. So you don't have to force yourself to be more dominant because, for example, you're more detailed, or you are a person who's actually more peace-loving, you want more harmony with people, you want more collaboration. So there are different types of people, right, that you need to find out who you are and be comfortable in that. You don't have to be someone that you're not, but you need to know what you are, right? I think there's a lot of things like all the ENFTJ, those were the craze and stuff like that. But for me it was easiest because I used the DISC. Yeah, so for those of you here, just go online, there are free tools out there. You don't have to pay, there are paid tools, but just go and it's free ones, all right? Go and learn about it. It's a behavioral assessment, personal assessment, so you know who you actually are, right? Actually, previously before this as well, I've got some people who came up to their parents wanted to know about their children and university grads, or who they are, what they are, and so it can help them in their future, in their workplace. So so just to add on, sorry, to Isha before.
No worries at all. I would love to hear more.
Yeah, all so right. You don't have to be who you are not, all right? But you need to know yourself that you are normal, right? So with that, you just go to DISC, find out about yourself, and then work on your strengths and which are areas to improve, then you work on that. Yeah, so yes.
Right. So thank you so much, Ms. Chantal, for adding on how as we could actually find more about behavior and find out who we are. So along the lines of who we are and our journey of where we want to be, I really want to ask both of our speakers today, how has gender norms or any stereotypes, like for example, stereotypes given by society or stereotypes given by colleagues, close ones, and etc., how have these stereotypes, have they ever affected your career choice and your journey to being who you are today thus far? I was hoping that we can hear from Dr. Go first.
Okay, so for the stereotyping, right? So what is stereotyping? So at first, we need to know what is stereotyping. Stereotyping is like the mindset that we have already said that, oh, this is the job of men, and then we normally women is not able to do, like for example, plumbing, building, and working in the military is become is the stereotype of, is one of the men's job that normally women we should not do. So this is kind of the stereotyping mindset. So in order for us as women to success in the technology, we shouldn't have this kind of stereotyping mindset. So there is a lot of women that they are still successful in the IT and technology career, that because of their passion, because of their interest. But don't stereotype yourself and think that, oh, IT job is for men only. So this is the first thing that we need to know, and we need to tell ourselves as a woman.
I see.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Go. Ms. Chantal, do you have anything to add on to what Dr. Go has mentioned?
Yeah, so yeah, it's not really stereotyping. There's no actually in truth, there's no stereotyping. I think what would block us is our own self. It is we ourselves that create the mental barrier, the mental block to go in. Because in truth, when I see other in the tech world as well, and some of our other tech friends, they don't really see whether you're male or female when you look at a resume, right? It's what your experiences, it's your attitude, your skills, and your knowledge in order for the job. So it doesn't matter whether you are a male or female when you know they send in the resume, right? For the tech, right? I noticed that tech is much more progressive in some sense. But some other industries are very much the male-dominated ones, which are not tech. Yeah, that I would say that would be a little more challenging. I say, yeah, woman, I cannot travel lah. This one, you know. I mean, there are seriously, you know, like, yeah, this one I cannot. I am married, I cannot lah, you know. So there are things that there are, but it's not in the tech industry, I would say, which is much more progressive. But in the other industries, like construction, for example, it's very much male dominated because of the skills and knowledge, and I mean because of the what is needed lah, right? Or even like oil and gas, for example. So it might, some other industries, it's very much male because of what is the physical requirements that is needed. But for tech, I don't see anything stopping the woman, because it's really nothing physical to stop. So yeah.
I see. So along the lines of identity, Ms. Chantal, you have mentioned that we stop ourselves, right? We create our own mental block, and how we constantly just put a barrier like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have so many responsibilities. I have a family. I can't do this. So I really want to revert back to your current experiences. You have mentioned earlier how you have been juggling so many roles. Every day is a wild card. You have been taking up so many roles and responsibilities in which you admire a lot, in which you are willing to push forward and try your best to make every single individual they have met know who they are. So I really want to ask, has society ever made you lose your identity? Because you're like, as in like, if you're battling for your own identity, like, am I a mom? Am I like someone who's a behavioral consultant? Like, who am I? Because you're playing so many roles, and you've never put that block for yourself. You've never said, okay, I'm done. You've always opened that barrier for yourself. But were there any consequences of anyone telling you, oh, but who you are, like, you're picking so many roles, like, what are you doing? So I really want to hear a lot from you about this.
Actually, no. Most of the time, like, oh, like, you can do all the things. I was like, yeah. I mean, I think it's all entrepreneurs. When entrepreneur meet another entrepreneur, we're like, hey man, we get each other. You know, it's not because as an entrepreneur, you have to have many hats. You know, it's not just one hat, right? You've got to play many hats. So when you meet a fellow entrepreneur, you're like, oh, okay, you get me, you know. But if you go in a corporate, you're like, hey, how come what you do? Because when I was in a corporate, for example, I've got my sales team under me. I've got marketing under me. I've got I've got many people under me. So anything that I want, I go to a web designer. Okay, can you do this for me? Marketing, I want these results. Okay, sales, you do this for me. So I have different departments. I have sales, finance, doing stuff. But when you're an entrepreneur, heck, you have to do everything your own. So, so this is, I say that this is more of the entrepreneur, that you've got to play many hats, right? When in corporate, it's actually different. You play kind of your own role. So I would say the only thing I think for me that made me a little unbalanced, I would say, or who am I, was probably when I become a mother. When I was a first-time mother, that was the mom guilt that comes in. I'm not so sure Dr. Go actually has that. Is the mom guilt, when I had to travel literally quite every month. Okay, probably away for 3 to 4 days, right? And sometimes very ad hoc, I'm supposed to fly to another country, right, on the day itself. So those are the mom guilt things coming out. I'm away from my kid, and it's just like 2 to 3, she's just like 3 months old or 4 months old, and that was like, am I, should I quit my job? Should I be a mom? That I think that came in, and it didn't help with also the postnatal hormones, depression that comes in, the postnatal blues that actually come in. Like I had it quite badly for myself, not really depression state, but it was close to it. So that was a lot of probably like self-doubt, not really self-doubt, but sorry, I was like, who am I? Am I a cow because I'm breastfeeding my kid? I'm just here for yet, or am I, who am I? What's my identity? So I think at that point, which is quite normal for some of the mothers because of the hormone changes and stuff like that. So that at that moment, yes, I did ask myself, who am I? Yeah, so only that part. But after a while, I got through the blues, the baby blues, with the hormone began to kind of like stabilize quite a bit. And then it's fine. But yeah, that took some time. So those of you as your students here, you won't get to that stage yet. But when you will, hopefully you remember what I mentioned or Dr. Go mentioned about this. So you'll know, oh yeah, this is normal, right? So it's not yet probably, but yeah, hopefully in years to come.
I see. All right, Dr. Go, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, like just now what Miss Chantal mentioned about mom guilt, right? Like just now, 9:45, my daughter, because I'm working from home, right? So my daughter bring a book and then like pleading me, asking me to read for her. So it's already going to be 10 that I'm going to attend this conference. So I have to inform her that, sorry, I'm not able to read for you now, that I will have to have a meeting that I can only read for you after 12. So this is kind of the thing that I would like to have more time to accompany her or to read a book for her, but the time is not allowed. She might not understand that, oh, I still have to work at home, because she will think that, oh, at home, then I will need to accompany her. Of course, if I'm a daughter, I also hope that my parents will accompany them more, right? So this is kind of the thing that I feel guilty that I'm not able to accompany her, not able to read the book for her. But at the same time, I'm also wearing the hat that, oh, I'm a speaker here today in this Agent of Tech conference, that I really would like to share my experience to all the participants here. So like, even especially now, like working at home, right, I'm wearing different kind of hat, that I will have to do the housework, I will have to prepare the food for them, I will have to attend the meeting as a program director, and then I also have to conduct the lecture or to meet the student for the consultations. So there is kind of a lot of things that it has been trained that I can change my head very fast. Right.
That's actually a very good skill, like changing hats. I think that's something that most students are like struggling. I would say struggling to do, especially when you're pursuing a degree, because especially staying at home, and I know the COVID-19 pandemic has made all of us, like, for instance, we're going to the office, you're like, okay, I'm playing this hat, and I'm coming back home, I'm playing this hat. But now when you're all in one area and you have to play multiple hats in one current environment, it really challenges you on which hat you're supposed to play now. So I think like it is very important for us to know how to switch it up and to like make sure our actions and the consequences we bring in does not affect like anything that happens in family, anything that happens in work. But however, Dr. Go, I really want to ask, from your standpoint as a lecturer, and also in the 21st century, we have been talking a lot about how things have been changing. And it's not like how women are really welcome into here, and we have been talking about how we want to give to them and we want to inspire them and tell them to join in and want to consult them. In your experience, what was the ratio of female to male in different cohorts throughout your experience of teaching? Has it increased over the years, or were there more challenges?
I think when I remember that 10 years ago, 2011, when I first joined Taylor's, right, there is like around 5% of the female in the class for computing school. I'm talking about computing school. There is like around 5% of female in the computing school. So, but now after 10 years, nowadays, I noticed that there is like around 25% of female in the class. It is like getting increased throughout the years. And then if you notice that a lot of females, right, they choose to take up business program, business courses, or even like the creative media design, or even the mass comm. So these are most of the popular courses that is taken by the female students. So this is from the past experience that I can see. But I noticed that there is quite a lot of females that they are taking up this computer science nowadays. I think because of the trend and also the encouragement, especially during the high school, right? They have been introduced with the STEM program, where I'm sure that all of you might have taken or have learned the programming, one of the programming subject, or at least the basic IT fundamental modules in your high school. So this has created or increased their interest in the IT for the female students.
I see. For me, Chantal, I wanted to ask, in your book, you have co-founded various organizations that help, especially in HR and managerial roles. Have you seen a growth in female individuals who are aiming to like inspire themselves and to also move forward and to learn more about how they could do better?
I would say definitely there's growth. The only thing is I do notice, however, is that when the woman gives birth at maternity, I've got a lot of friends and ex-colleagues as well, they just then leave their jobs. Yeah, they leave their jobs in corporate because it's too much. So they could, some of them could be like senior managers, for example, and it's just too much, right? So so they quit, right? And then they realign once the kid is about, the child's about 2 years old. That's when they go back to corporate. All right. There are some who actually become an entrepreneur, for example, and find different ways, because some of it is actually working. I still remember sometimes there's no sleeping. All right. Basically, you work 22 hours, right? A day. I remember for 3 days straight, I had that before, 22 hours. You need to sleep for 2 hours, right? And those life is not, you can't do that when you become a mom. So that's what I do notice. There are definitely a lot more women, and I think you will notice that there's more ladies in university, there's more women in university anyway that comes out, right? It's just that I do notice I've so remembered I have offered some ladies who I noticed they're doing very well, and I offered a job for them to come in to join, and they're like, no, I can't take a new job now because you know, I've got a new baby, they're twins, you know, I can't handle things, so I'll just lay low. So though that's the thing that I would notice, rather than having women, I mean, like opportunities for women, I would say that there are quite a lot. And then after that, when they become mothers, right, and that's when they either make, I mean, they are house husbands. There are very few that become house husbands. There are more that left, the corporate ladies that left their job or took a lower, you know, a less stressful job, so that they can be able to spend more time for their family.
I see. But does that, when we take a lower role, or for instance, we take a step back, is it seen as a discouragement or like a demotivation factor when you're trying to rejoin? For instance, you're like, oh, I stepped down and like I don't think I have more skills because I've not been in this field for like a year or so. Like, can I still come back and can I still ace this thing like how I normally do because I'm a mother now? Because a lot of times we are found in this environment where we're constantly telling ourselves, oh my God, I don't think I can do this anymore because I may not be able to have the skills anymore and I have so much things on my plate. So do you think stepping down is counted as a demotivational factor for anyone?
No, I think it's liberating, I would say. Like in truth, I left my corporate job because of my daughter, and I come set up my own company basically, so that I can manage my time more better. So I would say it's not demotivating. It's actually a little part like, you know, like, and what am I doing, you know? But in truth, it's actually very liberating. And actually, I love my job a lot more right now, basically, than before. I've got other friends as well because of very specific skills that they have that nobody have. Even they've gone for like 3 years, right? People still want them. Yeah.
Wow.
And gave them a position which is the same, or some of it is even higher. So I wouldn't say that it demotivates. I would say that it depends, unless that the woman is being forced to leave, not of her own accord. Like the husband says that I have got some friends who are like, oh, you are, you know, I don't want my wife to work. Yeah, no matter what, I don't want you to work and you stay at home. So yes, that's demotivating because they want to work, but they can't because of things. So that is a different thing that altogether. But majority is not. And some of them, they are like become entrepreneurs and really successful ones as well. So I wouldn't say that it is demotivating. I would say that it's more liberating if you make your own choice.
I see. Like we make a standpoint for ourselves and we make our
Yes.
own decisions.
Yes.
All right. That's actually very eye-opening, Ms. Chantal, I've got to say, especially for most of our audiences who will be extremely intrigued about the fact that you're stepping down from something. But you said it's liberating when you're understanding what you're doing and you know you're on the right path. So first, we're going to be reaching our conclusion segment. And after a meaningful conversation, we will actually want to end this conversation by providing recommendations and advices from both Dr. Go and Ms. Chantal. So in relation to education, Dr. Go, I really want to ask, what changes would you recommend to make in high school or in the undergraduate curriculum or culture to encourage more women to stay in tech? What's your take on this?
I observed that there is a lot of female focused company that growing the technologies, and then they are scaling up very fast. So we also see that there is more women that breaking their join their interest, the things that they're interested in, like for example in the fintech sector, technology like drones or healthcare. So these are the most important thing that we need to impart our students, especially when they are young, the most important skills that they need to have in the IT. The most important skill that need to acquire for the IT industry is like the logical thinking skill, critical thinking skill, coding skill, communication skills. So for the IT professional, they need to be more self-directed and self-motivated to do what they are interested at. And then, so this is the most important thing that we need to have. So in any university, right, or in the high school, they need to come up with some curriculum that to nurture the students or the high school student on what is the interest or the future of the technology world. For example, during the high school, it is important that the teachers are able to share the real experience of the successful women or mothers in the STEM. STEM is like the science, technology, and mathematics areas, so that they are aware, oh, there is this kind of, a lot of women working in this kind of STEM industry, science, technology, engineering, and maths field. So secondly, we also need to, as a teacher, we also need to help to find the role model for the students, especially female role models. They are successful in their life in technology, and then to share with them some experience to narrow down what they would like to learn and to develop the skills that they can. So this is kind of the things that I think high school should focus on. Try to come up with some exciting curriculum, like for example, lab sessions for the students to learn, to involve in, to experience what is the STEM, the science, technology, engineering. Like for example, nowadays, the most important or the most trending technology is artificial intelligence, robotics, drones, so business analytics, game design. So these are all the things that we need to share with our high school students, so they are aware that, oh, this is not only mere that they can do or they can learn from on all this industry or on all these latest technologies. There is a lot of female that we can do as a woman. So the most important thing is to nurture our high school students to introduce themselves, because they might not aware, oh, this is robotics. A lot of us think that robotics is something to do with men, but it is not correct. So we need to impart the knowledge that, oh, even women can use or can use the drone to do something exciting. So this is what we can tell the students, especially to the female students.
Wow, Dr. Go, I must say that it does correlate to what you've mentioned initially about how you went into IT with cluelessly about what IT was, but then you somehow connected IT to your passion. And you're saying how we should always acknowledge and how we should nurture children from high school all the way to university and develop this exciting and engaging curriculum for them. So thank you so much for your input. But I want to tackle about the other side as well. And in regards to the working world and the tech world, Ms. Chantal, I really have to ask, in a management position, how have you found it best to promote and nurture women that are in the workplace itself?
I would say it's a lot of understanding and flexibility, a lot of giving feedbacks as well. I mean, to me, it's actually, I don't see whether it's women or men, in truth. I'm gender biased, age biased. I'm not biased, but I'm saying that I just don't look at gender. I just don't look at the age. I just don't look at the color, stuff like that. So I just pretty blind myself to all these, right? But I would say usually when I notice that for women is that definitely I would be a lot more, I would say give a lot more feedbacks and probably a lot more flexibility, especially if they're a mom. When I know that one of my team members become a mother, right? I definitely give a lot more flexibility for that person, okay? And help, basically. So it's a kind of a teamwork and help. So that are the things that I would nurture. And in some parts of it as well, especially if I've got a really big team, I remember 60, the other part is that it's really about equality. I'm not sure you know about equality and equality. Equality means that everybody has everything the same, right? But not everybody has that privilege. So what I do is I do very equity-based leadership. If I see this person that needs a little more help, a little more flexibility to reach where she can succeed in her life, I'll give that to her. That little push, all right? So because every individual is actually very different, be it male or be it females. But usually, yes, some females will have a lot more, I would say a lot more challenges, yeah? So in that sense, I make sure that I give enough resources and support for them so that everybody have an equal chance of success.
I see. I really love the part when you say you're not gender biased, but then when you know that if the female is a working mother or they need flexibility to reach where they are, you would give it to them and you do not hold that back. You rather encourage them to move forward and not be demotivated or any sort of way. So that's actually quite eye-opening, quite inspiring, because our current knowledge, especially as students, we fear if we will be given the opportunity, like in any part, if you will be given the opportunity to be flexible, even showcase our skills or like learn, because commonly the learning environment, we are so fearful if we make a mistake, that means we're failures. We won't be able to achieve it anymore. But rather you said that, no, it's about giving feedback and constantly constructing yourself to be better and working for your role. So thank you so much for that input. And we are reaching to our very last question. And I find this question vital and how, we should always tell our students who are studying Taylor's University this. So the question is, as women with vast experience in this field, from lecturing or from HR management and coming all the way here, working in tech industry, what are some advice would you give to women who are planning to join or have already joined the world of technology? What will be your advices? Maybe we could start with Dr. Go. What will be your advice to them?
As all of us know that technology is growing very fast, we need to keep on excel ourselves, to attend more courses, to attend more training, or to read more technology-based information or news, so that we can on the path that is with the latest technologies, because the technology is really growing very fast nowadays. And now you see that for the Facebook, they are talking about metaverse. So that will be the future. But a lot of university nowadays, we are not in the stage of the metaverse yet. So some of the things we might not be able to learn from the university, but university is to train and to teach us how to learn the latest or new knowledge from base. University is just to lay us the foundation, and then for the future technology, we also need to learn it ourselves. So this is one of the things. Then for those who have interest, like for example, your friends or your cousins, that your junior from your high school, they are interested to involve or to excel themselves in the technology world, I would say that they can consider Taylor's University, especially the program that we are offering. So just to share with you, for School of Computer Science and Engineering, we do offer various type of the specializations in technology. For example, data science, AI, artificial intelligence, game and design, robotics, and also the business intelligence and analytics. So these are all the very up-to-date technology that we are offering to the students. So for those who are interested to have the career in technology, do consider to take up the program in Taylor's University School of Computer Science and Engineering. So if you would like to know more on the program that we are offering, feel free to contact me after this session.
That's actually great. And thank you so much for your advice, Dr. Go. And I'd like to pass the floor to Ms. Chantal to say your advices.
I would think generally that would probably be those people who want to go into the tech world. Yeah, Dr. Go, so do any of you join the Taylor's University? Yes. Yeah, and I would say actually for myself there'll be two. First thing is really about you need to have the proactiveness. And what Dr. Go says is actually absolutely spot on. You can't wait for university. I mean, what you learn in university, or what you be taught, and then you go out. To be honest, whatever you learn out there is actually different. Like I learned AI. Okay, I learned that my statistics stuff I've done is actually into analytics, right? So I go in to learn more about analytics, right? So even SEO, some of the web programming. So that is I learned myself, right? That's not learned by going to university or things like that. So I would say for anyone who go in, don't wait for your lecturer to tell you and then you learn and absorb. It's for you to go out and learn more things, okay, about what's happening in the world. Go on YouTube, learn additional skills, just keep on learning. All right, if you can, probably intern with other organizations. Like for us, we have 2 interns with us, right, and we give them projects to do so that they get exposed to what is the real world outside. So do all these things, right? Do some part-time internship with organizations. Yeah. So yes, PeopleHive, my Growtribe solutions, they're looking for interns as well, and they've got interns from all over the world. We've got interns from all over the world as well. Or PeopleHive, you look for any of the tech companies, go and intern, so you kind of know what's happening inside and you know what you want. Okay, so that's one thing. And the other one is actually network. Talk to people. Yeah, talk to people in tech. See people on LinkedIn. Send a message to ask them how is it about. Okay, how is it like being in that field? Ask their experience, for example, not one, but a number of experiences. Join some of the mentorship programs. There are some mentorship programs called Prime for Success. One of my friends actually is running this for all the graduates in all over. So it's very much, they got a lot of mentors there from all the industries, or even from all the really huge industries, right? And they come in basically and they give you real life advisors, mentors to give all the students. So those of you not sure how to go about this, talk to people. So you can join Prime for Success on LinkedIn, right? They have, I think, once a week or something, they've got sessions, and you can go in to learn from people who are really all in the field, right? And you can ask any questions that you want. So these are things I would say that those of you are going in to. Actually, this one more, last and not least, be confident in yourself. Just go for it, because in truth, it's not a life or death matter. You can always change and pivot, along the way. So it doesn't mean that you go in and then is that you cannot get out of it. You can always go to a different field. Like for me, I started off as a chemist and look where I am now. So in truth, you don't have to think about it super a lot. But if you feel like it, just go and try it. But university is different, because you pay a lot of money, right? So you need to kind of be sure, because you're spending your money or your parents' money, who would most likely educate you. Okay, so you must make sure that decision at least would help you towards that. But anyway, if it still changes, you can always go to another career afterward as well. So no worries. Yep.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Chantal. And with that, we'll be ending our discussion among the three of us. I would first want to thank you so much for giving an informative and a very insightful discussion. It is also very apparent to see how the points I've mentioned throughout this discussion does happen in real life, and also how you're trying our best to empower and also encourage women in tech to make sure to be confident on who they are. So with that, we're going to be moving on to our Q&A component for today's event. So for any audience member, if you would like to ask your questions to us, to our esteemed speakers that are right here with us today, you may type it down through the Slido link that will be sent to the chat box by our moderators. So we have the screen right here, and let's start our Q&A session. You can also try your best if you have more questions midway. Do feel free to put it through the link, all right? We'll try our best to answer as much as possible. So our first question is, as working moms, how do you cope with your work and have the time for your children? So maybe you can start with Dr. Go.
Okay, I will try to tell myself that every day, I'm talking about during the MCO or working from home, I will try to tell myself that every day, 7 p.m., after 7 p.m., I will have to turn off my laptop, even though I still have a lot of work that I have not completed yet, so that I can spend the valuable and quality life time with my children, especially after 7, to prepare dinner for them, and then to have a conversation with them, and then before I sleep with them, then I will read some storybooks with them, and then to share what have they experienced for the whole day and how they feel and how they think. So this is the things that I will try to discipline myself to say that, oh, after 7 p.m., no more workings. And then, because if I don't work after 7, right, I might not have enough time to complete my work. So normally I will wake up around 5 a.m. to start with my work, to answer all the emails that I have and to prepare some material for the classes for that day. So this is how I will do every day, especially for the past 2 years.
I see. That's very interesting, you said. And about having a work-life balance, it is very vital, as you've mentioned, Dr. Go. But Miss Chantal, I do want to ask you as well, is yours any different or?
There's no balance, basically. Especially when you're an entrepreneur, I mean, it's also a bit more difficult in some sense, I would say. But like for me, I think an MCO is quite bad. It was right, really, because I remember that time my husband was in essential services, so there's not much support as well. And I remembered that during the MCO was the day was quite crazy. We meetings with a little toddler, and I remembered put her to sleep at about 10. I will work until 3 to 4 a.m. I'll have about 2 hours of sleep. I'll wake up and do work again, and until I'll cook and everything, prepare for breakfast and lunch as well, so that if I have meetings, she can be able to have stuff to eat. So that was really a crazy ride during MCO. If you ask me how I survived, I really don't know. But it was good for losing weight. Definitely lost weight that time. Yeah. But I would say that I actually did, during that time, I remember that I did survey for working mothers, for 900 working mothers in Malaysia. And the statistics of that was that a lot of mothers were struggling, equally struggling during the times of the COVID pandemic, especially when schools are closed. So a lot of them are saying that, how do they balance that? There is not much balance, but it's how you kind of balance it. Like right now it's a little more balanced, but I would say that if you have to do a lot of work, like for me, I have to do a lot of work on the weekend, this weekend, I'll make sure that next weekend I take her out and I have a lot more quality time with her. So if it's unbalanced here, then you kind of balance it that later. So yeah. It's just a little act of balancing, because there's no balance at one point of time, but it's on a longer period, you've got to balance it out. So that's how I usually cope with work and time. And important is always to just have 10 minutes to just have your own time, be it in the toilet or anywhere else, just to breathe in and breathe out, be mindful, and do some breathing exercises, just relax yourself for 10 minutes a day. That would be, it keeps you sane.
I see. Like the mindfulness part, I think it opens up a whole like can of worms on how like it is important to like acknowledge and reflect on what you're doing every day and to make sure you're grounded constantly. So thank you so much, Ms. Chantal. So moving on to the next question, and this is quite interesting, I must not lie. Do you really think that there is a gender gap in the tech field? I would like to hear from you first, Ms. Chantal.
Based on our organization and as well as what we see out there, I would say there is definitely more males compared to females out there, I would say, in a tech field. However, there are more opportunities for women in a tech field because there's a lot, if you notice, there's a lot of some of the government schemes and some of the support that is given by the governments and even other countries, right? For women in tech actually is a lot more. So it's actually less competitive, especially in some of the, for the government initiatives, right? Comparing to the males. So I would say yes, gender gap, but also on the flip side, there's also more opportunities.
I see.
Yeah.
What about you, Dr. Go? What is your take on this question?
No, I don't think that there is any gender gap nowadays, especially in this 21st century. So men's and female and male, they are totally equal. So they have the equal rights. And also we shouldn't think that, oh, I'm a female, then I'm not able to do this kind of work. So don't have this kind of mindset. Do whatever that you like, whatever that you are passionate on, whatever that you think that it will interest you, that you would like to take it as a career path for yourself. So there isn't any gender gap nowadays, especially in these 21st centuries. Especially in future, we are talking about artificial intelligence, robots, then there will not be any gender gap, but there might be some human and robotics gap that we need to think about in future.
I see. That's a very personal take on it. Thank you so much, Dr. Go. And on the line of boosting self-confidence and etc., how do you boost your self-confidence and trust yourself that you can do it being a leader? And I really want to direct this question to Ms. Chantal, given your experience of helping everybody in the managerial position.
The truth is really to know yourself, your strengths, and always want to improve, because in truth, when you're a leader, in truth, I would say that you're not perfect. There's going to be people that don't like you. There's going to be people who will hurt you. There's going to be people who, who are not nice to you, and it's normal. But in the end, is for you to know that what is your principles in life? What's your principles and values as a leader? For example, that like for me, no matter where you are, I want to make sure that you are being fairly rated, for example. Yeah. Whether you're which gender or whatever, is really much based on being fair to them, and for me to develop them. So if I can develop them to be better than I am, I think that would be a good leader, better than I would wish for them to go higher than me as well. So you need to really know about yourself, what are your values and principles, and just sometimes there are people who are gonna be haters, all right? You just need to know what you're doing and move on. Right. Of course, there are some things that you always need to listen to feedbacks. There's a lot of people giving you feedbacks, right? That is definitely something you need to look into and you need to improve, and a lot of self-reflection to look, is this true or is this not true? And learn from that and move that, because there's a lot of things in corporate and in leadership as well. It's also about perception. So sometimes you don't mean to be this way, but people perceive you in this way. It means that there's sometimes the way how you communicate to others that needs to change. Yeah, so those are little things that you can actually do to really boost yourself. Yeah.
I see. Thank you so much, Ms. Chantal. And also, in terms of being a leader and working up to top positions and etc., that comes to the next question, actually, as I read. Do you believe that women are harder to climb up the top position track as they are more emotional than men? I would like to ask this to Dr. Go first.
Yes. I truly think that, of course, women are more emotional, but we need to control our emotional, especially if we want to climb up to the top positions. So this is what we need to do. for women. But of course, besides the emotional part of it, we also need to try to excel ourselves, to take up more courses, training, so that we are in a better position, have more advantage than the mere to climb up the top positions. So besides the emotional thing that we need to control ourselves, we also need to try to make ourselves excellent, so that it's easier for us to go up to the top positions.
I see. Thank you so much, Dr. Go. But Ms. Chantal, do you have anything else in your current experience that may add on?
Yeah, probably just add on, not only just trainings, right? I would say that to me, when I became a leader, I was not given to any training. I did not attend any training to where I am as leader. It's mainly a lot of books. I read on books, I ask experiences from others and learn from it. So the most important thing is learning from experience. That would be a lot quite, you need that. Of course, training would help, right? But it's a lot of it is by experiencing it. If you make mistakes, that's an opportunity to learn. So that's how you actually move. And I would say that it's not really harder to climb the top position. You just need to control the emotions. That's one thing. And in truth, when a woman becomes top position, right, sometimes there's two ways about it. There's some people that say that women are, you get woman boss, die one, you know, really terrible one, oh you know, because it's like the emotional stuff like that. But the women that who are able to control their emotions and only be more emotional when it's needed, in truth, they become more better people managers, because they are more sensitive to the people, to what people are facing, so they are more empathetic naturally in some ways. So that might be actually much more helpful for becoming a more people type of leader. Yeah, so
it's people oriented, right, Ms. Chantal?
It's actually called people manager, people leaders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can read about people leadership, or they call it servant leadership, right? So you can, so those things are actually some parts come more naturally for women.
I see. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Chantal, for adding on. So the next question is, as both of you are actually working moms, do you have difficulty returning to the society after maternity? Ms. Chantal, maybe you could start with you.
I think the difficult part for me was breastfeeding. So I had to attend meetings, imagine, with almost all men, and I had this breastfeeding pump and underneath my clothes, and I was breastfeeding in the meeting. So I was pumping milk while in the meeting. I think that was first part is a bit shy lah, you know, everybody, but after a while it's fine. So to me, actually, is difficulty returning to society after maternity was a lot of things, such as, for example, breastfeeding. It makes you very forgetful. So I was super forgetful, and in corporate, you need to be very on tip with the numbers, for example. And you need to know like what you have told your developers, what you have told them to do. And then they're like, hey, didn't you tell me to do this? I'm like, I gotta tell you, they're like, oh, we already programmed the thing like that, no, we cannot redo. Oh, okay, just carry on. Then you're like, shh, did I actually? So the memory loss was quite a bit for me. So I need to really note down. So that's difficulty, as well as I think the physical part. I can't be, because it's newborn babies, right? So it's lack of sleep. So a lot of times I'll be forgetful, I'll be a bit blur and stuff like that. So that was more of the difficulty, and also for the post blues and postnatal. So that was a little bit more difficult for my side. So I'm not sure for Dr. Go how is her experience, but that was mine.
Dr. Go, please do share your experience.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ms. Chantal regarding the breastfeeding. I still remember that I will have, you know, right? We have to do the pumping of the milk, to express the milk every 3 or 4 hours, especially because if not, right, then the milk will be reducing. So this is one of the things that we have to do. As if let's say in between we have some meetings and also we have some classes, we really have to adjust our time and then do the expressing of the milk in the office. And luckily that in my office, right, I'm in a cubicle share with 4 people, and then there is one male there in the cubicle, but he is very understanding that, oh, what I'm doing. So this is one of the things that we also want to provide the love and care, the best thing, because the breast milk is the best thing to the baby. So we would, as a mother, we would like to give the best to our children, the love and the tendering care. And then we also want to excel and to work, do or complete our work. So this is the things that we need to balancing up, especially after the 2 months of the maternity leave. And you know that you have been with the baby for the past 2 months, and then suddenly you will have to go back to work. And that time, it is not easy, that you will always think that, oh, whether the babysitter is treating the baby good or well, has the baby poop, has the baby sleep, have they eaten, have they taken the shower? So you will have this kind of mindset that you can't really concentrate after you go back to work after the maternity. So these are kind of experience as a working mom, but this is a learning process as a woman that men will not be able to understand. They will think that, why you have to work so hard and to express the milk and to do the pumping every 3 hours or 4 hours. There is formula milk that ready for them to drink. But to us, right, we would like to provide the best thing to our baby. So this is something that men might not be able to understand, but I'm sure that we have a lot of mere students here. Do take it as an advice from us that we are a working mom, but we are also trying our best to give the best to our baby, especially the breastfeeding part. So do support the breastfeeding, especially when you get married and then you have a baby and you have a wife. Support them, especially throughout the midnight, that baby might be crying for milk, and then your wife will be having a meeting or having an exam the next morning. So try to take care of them. This is the journey of taking care of baby, is not the role or the responsibility of the woman only, but it is the role and responsibility as a parent. So do support your wife and be with your wife, especially to support them for the breastfeeding. So do keep remember on this. I know that this might be too early for you as a man, because you are still a student, but in 5 or 10 years later, you will experience that for sure. Then you will think back, oh, I have heard from Dr. Go and also Ms. Chantal that, oh, breastfeeding is good and I need to support my wife throughout the journey, right?
Wow, thank you so much, both Dr. Go and Ms. Chantal, for actually sharing. I don't think many of us knew about this element that comes into getting back to work and getting back on the field. And it's truly interesting hearing from women who have been through that before and how we could be supportive to them. And I think we have time for one last question. And I was hoping we could answer this one. Have you experienced family pressure on asking you to return to the family, especially after having kids? Maybe Ms. Chantal, you would like to take this first?
No, it's more like, I want to return. Family is like, hey, can you not work so much? Or sometimes, no, I want to return. And sometimes in that part of work, it's kind of makes me to be less stressed about the family on the baby, right? So some part, it makes me be me. So I think that they didn't experience pressure. It's just I wanted to go to work. Yeah.
Oh, what about you, Dr. Go?
Yeah, it's true that we hope to have a family and also work balance kind of life, especially in this 21st century, that all of us as a woman, we would like to have an excellent career, that we have our own aim and target to achieve in our life, especially in the career part. But at the same time, we also would like to spend the most precious and quality time with our children. As you know that baby, children, toddlers, their life is just one straight line, and then they grow very fast. We cannot go back to when they are 10 months old or 1 year old or 2 years old. So we also need to spend time with them to witness their growing journey. Like, oh, when is the first time they call you as mama, or when is the first time that they know how to walk. So we also would like to have this kind of journey with our kids. But at the same time, as myself, I also would like to have more students graduate with successful life, and also to have more PhD and master students that they graduate. So this is the things that I would like to see from my life, both family and also my career success.
I see. It's really inspiring, both Dr. Go and Ms. Chantal, how you have constantly said that you'll never want to give up a family time and moments in life that are vital in your family, and where you wouldn't be able to experience these moments again, and how you really want to like be there, no matter what roles and responsibilities you have. You know for a fact that this is important and this is who you are. This is a part of who you are. So it's actually now 11:55, but I think I'll just take one last question, and I think I'm going to take the one above. It says, do you think that the pandemic has changed your life as a working mom? So we did go along the lines of being there for family, but then now as we all know, we are stuck in our four-wall room, and you have kids right next to us and you're working. So I'd like to start with Dr. Go, with your current experience. Did it make it easier for you, or did it make it harder?
For the pandemic, right, I have been working at home throughout the past two years, from the 18th of March 2022 onwards. And then I have been conducting online classes and also online meetings, online consultation with the students. At the same time, my kids, they are also studying at home. So this is the things that I will have to cope with. Especially, I will also have to prepare the food for them, and also to get everything done at home before I start my teaching of the day or meeting of the day. At the same time, I will also need to prepare them for classes and also have to guide them or teach them. I think you have been hearing some shouting at the background noise. So they are like screaming and shouting, especially now it's holiday and they do not have to go back to the kindergarten. So this is kind of the life that I'm having now, that I'm in my room, having the talk and sharing session in this conference, and they are outside playing. Then after this, I will have to go and prepare the lunch for them already. So this is kind of my working life as a working mom.
I see. Okay, we can end the question with Ms. Chantal's experience, I would say. What is your take?
I would say that there are no separation or segregation between, like, you know, when you go to work and it's at home. It has all blurred and it's actually integrated and merged into one. So you're a mom and you are also needing to work at the same time. So there is no line, basically, like what actually Dr. Go has mentioned. It's very much integrated already. Yeah, so I think that has actually changed as a working mom. Yeah.
I see. So with that, we'd like to end our Q&A session. I apologize for those who we couldn't answer your questions on time. However, you may reach out to Ms. Chantal and Dr. Go if you have any other inquiries. So with that, I would like to end our Fireside session for One Woman in Tech. I first would like to thank our esteemed speakers, Dr. Go and Ms. Chantal, for giving us this beautiful insight about what it's like to be here and what it's like to embrace yourself in the world of tech.